Hey everyone, welcome back to Deeper Grooves, Musicians on Music, hosted by Cliff Beach and sponsored by California Soul Music record label. Today I get to talk with a great friend of mine, Alex Nestor, who's talking about her single Still Standing, as well as her work on American Idol, working with Carlos Santana, a ton of stuff. So delightful to talk with her. So great to be able to talk with friends that are also amazing musicians. Very excited to have her on the podcast as our first female guest. Please help me welcome Miss Alex Nestor. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am great. Thank you.
But it felt good to play a real show the other day.
Yeah, as real as we can make it. I think I'll be probably doing a hologram soon.
We're all gonna have to invest in our own holograms now.
We'll just put on some type of VR helmet. We'll just plug into the Matrix and basically we'll just all be there and can perform. The only thing they have to figure out is latency, because I think that's what's keeping us from doing a band situation from home.
Yeah.
Well, let's just get right into it then and see. So I've been looking and listening to your stuff over the weekend so I can prepare, going through your bio, all of your great information. And so on Spotify, the last single that you had out is Still Standing, even though I know you've released other stuff, and we'll talk about that with videos online. So with Still Standing, you feature a lot of great musicians that are listed on the track. How did that song in particular come to be, or what's special about that song versus your other content?
That song was born from a very broken place. I hate to say it. I live in Simi Valley, and Thousand Oaks is, in my neighborhood. Ultimately, Thousand Oaks, Moore Park, Simi Valley, we're all really close to each other. And when the shooting happened at Borderline Bar and Grill, it just absolutely broke me. I had done my last Burn It Down cancer benefit there, and we had hopped around to a couple different venues, and once we finally landed at Borderline, just the way that Noel and Brian treated us and how they helped us, and we found our home, and it was such a beautiful feeling to just be there. We were helping the community, with the community, and we were so thrilled to find our home. And, I'd gone there over the years. I remember going with my friend Jamie. I've got a song for her too, when she was fighting breast cancer. Going to hear her husband's band play. I remember going to hear one of my students do a recital there, and just really good memories of being there. Helping my other friends set up for a Big Brothers Big Sisters Ventura County event that they had there. And it was a place that held such a special spot in my heart. So when that shooting happened, I didn't know anyone personally who was killed. I have a good relationship with the owner and GM and the people that work there, and I know a lot of people who had always gone there over the years, and it was just such a staple place that, I don't know, for me, how I heal is through music. I write, I create, I try to take something that's so awful and horrible, and I try to, through music, find a way to find the light, find a way to, find comfort and peace and healing, even in the midst of the most uncomfortable and horrific events. So I wanted to do something so that the community, the Borderline community, and everyone affected by this knew that they were not alone. And there are a lot of people out there praying for them that love them very, very much, even if they don't know them personally. It's we are here for and with you.
That's good. Yeah, I like that, bringing more light in. I think I always think of John Mayer's Gravity, where he says, gravity's pulling me down, keep me where the light is. And so I think we need to be able to shine that light and be beacons of light and hope. So with that, I know that you're a cancer survivor, so kind of how does that fit into your music and kind of shape your worldview or how you see things?
Well, it sounds super cliche, but I feel like it definitely has made me love deeper. It's made me care greater. I feel like it has made me a better person. Again, it sounds super cliche, but when you basically fight for your life and you're kind of staring death in the face at a point, and it really makes you appreciate things more. And so I remember I had just started work on my first full-length album, and when I got sick, and then once I went back into the studio, the first song that we started working on, I started writing, was called I've Been Through It All, which is a pretty hefty thing to say for like a 16-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
But I still you stare death in the face at any point in your life, you've been through the ringer. I feel like you can say something like that, and then the whole song was like, I've been through this, but I made it through, you can make it through. And it really sets a trajectory for my music to be, in general, very positive. You're always going to have your angry breakup songs. You're always going to have your fun party dance songs. You're always going to have those other emotions too, because those are a part of life. But deep down, I feel like my message in my music is one of, positivity and the power of love, the power of hope, and, how we can, you can get through the darkest times. Again, all this sounds so like hackneyed phrases and so cliche. It's like, you can do it. We're all together. But it's just so true. I don't know how else to say it. It's like, if you fight cancer, I work with cancer patients and survivors, and it's like, you're not alone. Even if you're meeting me for the first time, you're not alone. You're never alone. You will never be alone. So, it made me a more, my music focused more on positivity and joy and love, happiness, hope, all those good things.
And then that kind of flows from you then out into your charity. You mentioned a little bit, Burn It Down, and the benefit concert you have annually. But tell us a little bit more about, what is that process? What is that charity?
So Burn It Down, it's Burn It Down to Rise Above It. It's a full title. It was the name of my second album, and when I was coming up on my 10-year cancer-free anniversary, I wanted to have a party because, hey, great, any excuse for a party, right? But I thought it was a great thing to celebrate. And then I thought, you know what? I need to do more with this. I want to give back with this. So we decided to make it a benefit concert. And you think Burn It Down, Rise Above It, like Phoenix rising from the ashes. Like, you can overcome, you can do this. We can do this together. And that first night we did it at the Troubadour. We played that whole album live. I gave a full copy to every single person who bought a ticket. Every penny that came in from ticket sales, donations, merchandise, our auction, every penny went directly to both the American Cancer Society and the Marcel Arian Cancer Foundation, which we've been exclusively doing this for since that first time. And that first year we raised, super grassroots, some kid from Simi Valley decides to put on a benefit concert, and we raised just over $10,000 that first time. And I had no idea we could ever do that. That was more than I had ever imagined we'd be able to raise. Since then, and we recouped nothing. So we had fundraised and did a ton of work to be able to pay to put the thing on too. And then since then, we've been exclusively working for the Marcel Arian Cancer Foundation. Now, Marcel Arian was the name of my oncologist's mother. She passed away from breast cancer. She was about 32, I think, when my oncologist, his name was Dr. Khalil, when he was 6 years old. And he went with her to all of her appointments to try to, in vain, as a 6-year-old, a child, to try to understand and figure out how to heal his mother. When he wasn't able to save her, he just continued on that path for the rest of his life. He dedicated his life to helping people fight cancer. He saved my life. I would not be here without that man. Eventually, he started the Marcel Arian Cancer Foundation, which helps cancer patients and their families. Mostly in that we're small, but we're mighty. Help cancer patients and their families with things like medications, equipment, bills, wigs, basically whatever they need that insurance falls short on. And we've done other things too, like we sent a woman home to be with her mother in her last 3 months on this earth. Her need was to be with her mother while she lived her last 3 months of life, so we bought her a plane ticket home. That was the need that she had that we could fill. So I always tell everybody, it's like, how can we bless you today? The foundation's been going strong since 2011. My oncologist, Dr. Hani Khalil, actually passed from cancer himself a couple of years ago, and I am actually currently the president of the foundation, if you can believe that.
Wow.
So it's something very, very near and dear to my heart. But I love combining music with something like fighting cancer, because I mean, nothing gets you pumped and riled up and ready to fight and ready to win like music can.
Oh yeah, definitely agree with that. And that's just such noble work, and being able to speak to it as a survivor is definitely a different place than just other people that still have good intentions, but they haven't lived through it. Living through it is a whole different thing, especially to people going through that. You just really understand how these little things, just buying a plane ticket for someone, that's a big deal to someone if they are not able to afford to do that. And there's so many costs that are associated with healthcare and or lack of healthcare, and so things like that are very important in society. We as people and global citizens, we create these things that when we see gaps that need to be filled in some way that aren't being done.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I've seen people get turned down your insurance will pay for your chemotherapy, but not for your anti-nausea medications. Like, you're not allowing the patient to fully be treated. They need the anti-nausea medications. I don't know where I'd be without those anti-nausea medications, because they helped so much and were so necessary. And I mean, even things like, therapy. We host a women's support group. We just, it's like there's so much that's associated with it. And I know we're small. We're not going to cure cancer. We're not going to fix everything. But we can look at someone in the community who's hurting and say, how can we make your life a little bit better?
That's very important. And that's great to do it with music in mind, too, because that's ultimately what we want to do for music, is make people's lives better. And if it brings them a little slice of happiness, then that's great. So speaking of slices,
Amen.
You have been doing some fun new video collaborations directed by Chicano Slice. And, COVID and the pandemic is not slowing you down. Yeah, you're making fun videos at home, as so many artists are during this time. What is it like translating your songs into video?
Oh, that's an interesting question. It's interesting because I feel like sometimes the visuals just come to me so easily. Like I can, I have one song on my new album for my best friend Katie when she went through her open heart surgery a few years ago, and it was about the time when she was starting to do better in the hospital. It was a really rough go of it, and she was in the hospital. And it was a point where I felt like, I think we're okay, but I'm not sure yet. We had taken so many steps back. I was kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop, but we were doing pretty well. She was doing pretty well. And so, the visuals for that were very simple. They came to me, we actually opened with, we ended up adding a hospital scene at the beginning, just little tiny glimpses of it. And the rest is shot in a big white void, not a void, but a big white empty room. And it's just kind of like the space that my head was in at that time. And then other times, I'll be talking with Chicano Slice, my husband Eddie, and, he'll have a completely different idea for where we're going to go with it. He'll see, sometimes you see colors, sometimes you see, you see landscapes, or you see color palettes, or you see, like, I'll see a room with a fireplace in it, or I'll see, it's so much fun to try to, the whole point of the videos, of music videos, in my perspective, are to enhance the song, to enhance the meaning and the depth of the song, to say what the heart and the full heart and meaning of the song says, but visually. And I love that he just has such a great eye for making that come to fruition. I know our last video released for Slingshot was completely shot at home. It was not the original concept we had. It wasn't even the second concept or the third concept we had for that video. We had lots of plans before lockdown. And then he's like, you know what? This is the situation we're in. Everybody's on Zoom. Let's bring some familiarity to that. Let's do it like we're on Zoom. And then the whole silly video kind of came to fruition after that. But, sometimes you just got to roll with what life gives you.
Oh, yeah, you definitely have to make lemonade out of what's happening, and everyone is trying to still figure out what our new normal is. So as you grow as an artist into your third full-length solo album, Someone Better, this is going to be coming out soon, how is this different from your previous releases, or where are you at now as mature Alex?
I would never call myself mature. I'm a 12-year-old at heart. I learned so much during my first two records. My first record took 8 years. And I was so grateful to be able to explore so many new things. And my, the producer and my mentor and dear friend, Robbie Robinson, who did that record with me, like, he just fostered my creativity. And we wrote songs together. We did a couple covers, and it was just such a learning experience. I was really getting to know myself. And then my second record, we did in 8 months because I was angry and I had something to say and I had to get it off my chest. And we probably should have spent a little more time on it. But you know what? At that point in time, that's what I had to do. And I'm also very proud of that because I jumped in feet first kind of on my own with that record. And now I think, like, just the right pieces have fallen together. Like, I've grown as a songwriter. I've grown as a vocalist for sure. And the team that I have in place that I've been working with, I mean, I do work with different musicians here and there, but Greg Karras, who's been co-producing and engineering and playing guitar on all my records and all my stuff now, just like we have such a great working relationship. Like, I'll start to suggest something and he's like already doing it. like we very much, that we don't always agree on everything, but and the times we haven't agreed on things, the way they end up coming out and we end up, working it together and compromising and working it out, it comes out even better than I had ever imagined. So I feel like all the pieces have just kind of fallen together, and we've really, I've figured out more so who I am. I'm not angry like I was in my 20s. I'm making music because I love making music, and I find so much joy in that. I don't know if that makes sense. So I guess in that sense, yeah, I have matured. But I'm still 12 at heart.
Yes, well, I mean, you've matured from your American Idol days. So 10-year anniversary, speaking of, you were on American Idol in 2010, season 9. How was that experience for you, and then the post experience?
I think that's one of the things that made me really angry. And I say this knowing full well that I went into it with the wrong mindset. At that point, I had auditioned in LA and didn't get through. And on a whim with a friend, a great singer too, ended up driving out to Denver, which is really far from Los Angeles. We drove out to Denver on a whim to try to audition again, and we both got in. And so the way things worked out, I felt like this is where God was leading me. Like things were just working out, and it was kind of weird. Like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is where I'm supposed to go. And I got pretty far on the show. I sang maybe 3 words on a commercial. That's about all of the airtime I got, which really didn't help very much. But those 3 words sounded so good. No, but when I got kicked off, it was like the top 71. We were in the 3 different rooms. So when I got kicked off, I was so confused. Like in my head, I was like, wait a minute, this is where God was leading me. This is what I was supposed to be doing. And so I was really questioning, like, is music my purpose? It was really sad. And I just kind of spiraled into that kind of thought process, which is never good. And I got really, really angry. And a lot of the Burn It Down album was born out of that. There's a song on there called Idolatry too. And then years later, a good friend and trumpet player buddy of mine, I was telling him this story, and he's like, I said, I thought that's where God was leading me. And he's like, maybe God did want you to do that. And I'm like, wait, what? He's like, maybe he wanted you to go on the show so you could see and get to understand exactly what you don't want to do. And I was like, oh, wow, I wish I would have realized that a bunch of years ago. Because when I was on the show, it was all, they worked us really hard. They worked us too hard in kind of pretty ridiculous conditions. They wanted people to get tired and upset, and it was hard working. You have 100 or so people working in one hall that's very loud and echoey, all trying to come up with these amazing little musical routines at 3 a.m. It's like you're gonna get pushed to your limits. They were casting a TV show, and there have been some great artists that have come out of that show too. But there have been some people who have been destroyed because of that show too. And I saw that, and it was, I don't really want to speak ill of anybody, but it definitely wasn't something that I wanted to be a part of. So I feel like, people always say, oh, go on The Voice, or go on this. I'm like, I think I chose the harder route, but I'm proud of the route that I'm taking. I'm proud of the journey that I'm taking, because, if I get there, things may change, I don't know, but if I get there, I got there on my own 2 feet. I'm going to get there on my own 2 feet, not really with anything else. I hope that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. And I think, we've seen other people like Jennifer Hudson leave the show and then do amazing things. And tons of other people have done stuff like
Melinda Doolittle. That girl can sing. Whew.
Oh, yeah. And what was her name? Frankie, I think, or someone that in the earlier seasons. Yeah, it's like I had my own Idol experience years before that, and it is crushing in a way, but you do leave angry, which I think a lot of people did.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I think that is a fuel and a catalyst to make you say, I'm going to do it on my own, no matter what. And we live in a time where you can create your own path. In a lot of ways, it's cooler.
So for that, I'm grateful. It gave me yet another reason to fight. It showed me what I didn't want to do and where I didn't want to go. And so, like, even in the midst of something that was really crushing at the time, you can find good in it. You can find a purpose for it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And you've had so many successes on your own. You have opened for and worked with Earth, Wind & Fire, Chicago, Rachel Platten, Evelyn Champagne-King, Dave Mason, Stevie Wonder, The Four Top, Fifth Dimension, Tito Jackson of Jackson 5 fame, Frankie Valli and The Four Seasons, and Carlos Santana.
Oh yeah.
does any one of those kind of events or working with those people stick out in your mind? It's like, oh my God, this was like a mind-blowing experience, or were they all kind of like that?
They were all kind of mind-blowing. I mean, in different ways too, because like when I first worked with the Four Tops, like I was doing my first record with Robbie, and we were covering Can't Help Myself, Sugar Pie Honey Bunch. And Robbie is Frankie Valli's musical director and has been forever. And Frankie Valli and the Four Tops used to do a co-bill together for a bunch of years. So he knew them, and he knew their road manager, really, really nice guy named Tree. And, they were going to be playing he's like, we should try and get the Tops on this. And I'm like, sweet. I'm just a kid at that point. And so they were playing at Humphreys Concerts by the Bay down in San Diego one weekend. And so we ended up driving down there, and Robbie had his laptop. And this was that record was released in 2009. Okay, so this was a long time ago that we recorded this. Remote recording was not a thing. We got to their hotel and did like a quick half-hour session in their hotel room on his laptop. He had like one mic plugged in, and they kept telling me, oh, we're going to put you on stage tonight. Yeah, just warm up a little lower because, our version's so low, it's lower now. And so I'm like, oh, yeah. Thinking they're just being really sweet. And then we get to the concert because we got to watch the concert. And in the middle of the concert, Duke Fakir, who's one of the founding member, who's still around and still like part of the group too. He's like, oh, we've got a friend today. We're going to bring her up. And I'm like, oh my, wait, what? And so Robbie ends up finding me, pulling me backstage. He's like, okay, it's their closing number. It's their biggest song. It's been their closing number for years. They end up pulling me on stage. I'm completely flabbergasted. Obie Benson, who was their another founding member, their bass, actually, he handed me his microphone. He didn't have one. He let me have it. And they let me sing the whole damn song. And they were singing with me. And we were able to sneak a film camera in. And the pictures are like pretty blurry, but oh my God, they're so treasured. That moment was insane. I had no idea what was going on. I'm so glad I remembered the lyrics. And I was in the middle of all of the Four Tops. I was in the center of them. And they were so gracious to give this kid, like, this opportunity. And that will stay with me forever. I mean, and with Carlos Santana, too. I remember the first time I met him, I've been playing with Salvador Santana, his son, for a bunch of years, playing backup keys and singing. And because Salvador raps and plays tremendous keyboards himself. And we were playing at New George's up in the Bay Area. And Carlos posted that he was coming to the show. And so we all were super stoked. And I remember my mom and my best friend and my husband all drove up like that day. It was sold out, but we were able to finagle them tickets to get in. And Carlos comes up. He's on the other side of the stage from me. And I'm wailing, singing Spanish Castle Magic. And he's wailing on the guitar. And like, I couldn't hear anything he did. But it was like, holy crap, I'm on stage with Carlos Santana. And then he came over as he left the stage after the song, shook my hand and said, I love you. And I looked at him and I'm like, I love you too. It was unreal. And every moment I've had being able to perform with Carlos since then was like, where am I? This is amazing. And he has such a way of making you feel so welcome. Like I never felt inferior. I never felt unwelcome. I never felt anything but just, yeah, let's make music. So I'm like, you could probably hear, I'm like smiling like crazy over here because those were amazing memories. Amazing memories.
Yeah, it sounds like it. It sounds like it. And then you lend your voice to other groups like the Urban Renewal Project. I've seen you work with the Tang Gang. How is that different from your solo stuff?
I love being able to. They're just such different animals. You know, it's like I do soul, funk, R&B. That's kind of my niche. And Tang Gang was always like soul funk, but a little different. Like we played different songs. I didn't write the originals, so there were someone else's originals that I was able to like help bring them to life. And the energy with that band, the energy was just so, it's just so positive too. And it was so like, we all really pushed each other to make each other all better musicians. And we all just, you could tell, we just had a joy playing together. And then when you get into the Urban Renewal Project, it's another band that's, it's a different animal. It's funk, it's soul, but it's also big band and hip hop and rap. They let me rap a little bit sometimes, but I get to take these other mostly original songs, and the way that they're written are really powerful for and a great vehicle for a strong female lead voice. Aubrey Logan was the lead singer before I was, and she is a beast of a vocalist and a trombone player too. And so I had some big shoes to fill when I started stepping in, and she can wail. So I started listening to these songs that they had, and I'm like, oh, I can sink my teeth into these. This is going to be fun. And since then, being able to, I've started writing with them too. And, you know, just adding that, when you add different people into the mix, you're adding different ideas, different backgrounds, different thoughts, different musical tastes. And it just, you know, for me, it just helps push me. And, you know, it might not be my normal go-to, but sometimes it's someone will come up with something that I'm like, I never would have thought of that, you know, on my own. And I'm so glad that they thought of that thing. And it's just such a symbiotic relationship that it just helps push you in different ways.
Oh, yeah. No, I hear that. And I can hear it in all the different situations. And I think it just shows your versatility and willingness to adapt and stretch and want to do different things and not be pigeonholed. And I think that's all very cool. So
and with Tang Gang and with URP, it's like, it's not me, it's Tang Gang and it's URP. It's like, it's a different consciousness. It's a collection of people. It's a musical collection of people. So it has a different identity than I do. And I think that's something that's beautiful and different and worth exploring.
I always think of it like a Stone Soup or a Wizard of Oz situation. It's like you're bringing the best of what you do, and everyone else is bringing their thing, and then that all comes together into something bigger than any individual.
Amen. Yes.
So I'm very interested. I always ask 2 rapid fire questions to all of the guests at the end of the podcast. What advice would you give a new up-and-coming singer, musician?
I'd say, number 1, don't give up. Don't ever, 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 ever give up. If you love music and if you love it, like if music fulfills you and singing fulfills you like nothing else in this world can, then music's what you need to do. You need to find how to do it in some capacity. And in that sense, if you're singing at home, if you're singing for 2 people, if you're singing for 1 million people, if you're just recording things and making things for yourself or your friends, you know, take great joy in the process of creating and performing and making music. And also, as everyone else says, practice, practice, practice. Listen to everything you can and just learn and grow.
Practice is important. You never want to have the opportunity to come and not be prepared. You want to be prepared even if the opportunity never comes.
Absolutely.
So the last question, what is your legacy? What do you want to be remembered for most?
Wow, that's not a deep question at all, Cliff. Give me a hard one. I want to be remembered like I'm dying here. No, I want my legacy to be the love that people feel. I want people to feel loved through my music. I want them to feel loved through the songs that I sing and through the words that I write and the chords that I play. I want them to feel loved, and I want to give them joy, because music, as much as it is for me, music is for all of us. And I hope and pray that the words that I write and the chords that I play and the songs that I sing, I pray that they make a difference to at least someone.
Well, I've heard you, and I definitely believe that is part of your legacy, and that is what you do. I always tell people that music is a transference of feeling. So you're feeling a certain way, you're writing about things that you feel very strongly about. That's getting pushed out to the listener. The listener feels a certain way about it, and then, at live shows and things like that, they're pushing that back to you. And it's just like this big feedback loop that's constantly going, and people are adding to it, and all the musicians that come in are adding to it and things like that. And so I think that's exciting. I think, your legacy, your full legacy is yet to come. You're still out there and still doing it, and you'll be doing it the rest of your life. So we'll see.
Hopefully I got a lot of more years in here.
Yeah, a lot more years and a lot more love to give, for sure.
And I just wanted to say that I actually have, before I start releasing the rest of the Someone Better album, which will come very shortly, Slingshot being the first song, I'm actually releasing a new song and video at the end of this week. Haven't decided Thursday or Friday. What do you think sounds better, Thursday or Friday?
New music usually always comes out on Friday.
On Friday? All right, let's do Friday. We'll do Friday. Like how I just decide things off the cuff. After the recent events they're not recent events because they've been going on for many, many years, but as I felt very compelled after, learning of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, the list goes on and on and on. I felt very compelled I wanted to do something. And the way I feel and the way I try to make a difference, the way I start anyhow, is always through music. So I wrote a new song. I have told no one on social media about this. I've sent it to a lot of friends for their feedback and thoughts, and it's about the importance of someone like me being able to recognize my white privilege, to give validity to the voices of those whose voices have been squashed for so many years. And there's a video along with it. It's a little hard to watch. There's some rough things in there, some content that's not suitable probably for younger viewers, but it's a message that is with all my heart and made with tremendous love and hopefully tremendous healing. And it's called Own It. And it'll be out Friday because I just decided that.
There you go.
I hope my message is clear, and I hope my message is one clearly made in love, because we need more love in this world.
Yep, I think that's a good way to end it, a message of hope, musical messages for positivity and good, and again, extending so much love, as you see from your charity and your music and just everything about you is just pushing out more love, which we can never have too much of. There's never someone like, there's just too much love in this room. I don't think that comes up.
What the world needs now. Yeah. That song was right on, right?
Yeah, we don't need anything else. All you need is love. And I think that's the way I like to remember it. And I think that's your legacy, a legacy of love, of music, and love through music. So thank you so much, Alex, for being on the podcast, Deeper Groove. We'll definitely circle back to you when everything's out with the link so that you can share it and post it and people can hear it. But super excited to have you. We're also adding more diversity with adding females. We've had all men so far. just because that's what happened. But
I'm the first lady?
You're the first lady.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, I am honored. I am honored because you know how much I love you and respect you and just I'm a fan. I am a Cliff Beach fan.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, hopefully we'll definitely do some more stuff, as time permits and things start to open up again. But until then, take care. Give my best to everyone, including Eddie and Chicano Spice. And so, I look forward to the new music, and I'll definitely be listening when it comes out.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Cliff.
Take care. I was going to talk soon.
All right. You too. Be well.
Be well. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks again. You just tuned in to Deeper Grooves, Musicians on Music, hosted by Cliff Beach and sponsored by California Soul Music record label. I had a blast interviewing my friend Alex Nestor. She's worked with me. She's worked with tons of other people like Carlos Santana, Tito Jackson, and the list goes on. She's amazing. I know you're going to want to hear more from her. I can't wait to hear her new music. And you should all check out her latest single, Still Standing, streaming everywhere. We'd also like to take time to thank our engineer, Tim Hall, in 1192 Studios in Westlake Village for mixing and mastering this recording. If you like this and you want to hear more, you can check us out online at www.californiasoulmusic.com/Deeper Grooves. Until then, keep going. It's going to get better. Keep hope alive. Good music will always prevail.